Hey sisters, thanks for joining us.
How you going?
We're talking to Medicine Man, Steve Ginnery, of course. You can purchase the book on his website, which is...
SteveGinnery.com.
And thank you for your questions, girls. This is fun.
Yeah, thanks, girls. Good questions too, and I'll try and do them justice.
So, Medicine Man, how do you discern when to push through to renew your mind and your body and do all this exercise or rest? You know how you...
Well, I suppose.
What's the right thing to do?
Yeah, the main thing is I think you have to have a good amount of self-awareness to know what your needs are, and not to drive yourself past that. Like there's times where if you don't get up and exercise and force yourself to exercise, you can get lazier and lazier and more sluggish. So there is a time to push. And if you want to stay fit, you might be looking to do a little bit of exercise each day, or at least say 4 or 5 days a week. You know, have a walk or go to the gym.
Yeah.
But if you're doing something most days and you're already fairly active, and you feel like you need to rest, well, it's probably sensible to rest. So just understanding what you need, and the need for rest is just as important as the need for exercise.
Well, I usually bounce out of bed, but this morning I didn't want to get up, so I laid there and read a book with the sun beaming in the window. I've laid around most of today, but I'm going to go and hit the beach for a walk this afternoon.
Perfect. And that is the key. It really is to listen to your body. That's the most important thing.
Cool. Tuning in.
Next question.
Tuning into our bodies, girls. We know who we are, what we can do. Are we just being lazy? Or do we really need a break?
Being honest with ourselves is a good idea too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of all the healthy habits there is, what do you think's the most, foundational?
There's quite a few, but really one of the things I've noticed, most people don't understand how the body is designed to heal itself and keep itself strong and healthy. And a good example is the common cold. We tend to see that as a negative, as a bad thing. And if we've got a heavy cold, we might take Panadol, we might take things to dry up the mucus, cough suppressants, things like that. And yet, the common cold is part of the body's self-protection mechanism, and it's designed to get waste from the inside of the body out. So if we don't understand what the body's doing, it's very difficult to look after it properly. We have to really understand how it's designed and then work with the body, not against it. And that's one of the big things that leads to chronic disease. If we suppress acute conditions over and over again, it doesn't allow that waste to get out of the body. So we're actually laying a foundation for chronic disease. So that's a very important thing.
So we get a cough and we think, oh, that's irritable. I'll take a heap of cough lozenges and I'll stop the cough. But the cough might be trying to bring up waste that will cleanse us for the season ahead.
That's right. It's ideal if you've got a cough, you want it to be a productive cough, not just an irritating cough. Now, if you're bringing up lots of mucus and all that, that's a good sign, and that's a lot of waste being carried out of the body.
Cleansing.
Cleansing, yes.
Okay. So, foundational is knowing your body. And really, Step does podcasts, but also goes into it a lot more deeply in his book. Really good, just basic tips for us, knowing our body, caring for our body, and doing it naturally and doing it well. Do you recommend supplements? Okay, we're talking women post 60, and we want to immune boost and support our general health.
Yeah. Well, I do recommend supplements. Ideally, if we could get everything out of our food, that would be the way it's meant to be.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we don't always eat high quality organic foods, and a lot of the foods produced commercially today, they're grown on soils that are depleted, so they haven't got what we need in the foods. So we have to do something if we want to get all those nutrients we need. So that's the idea of supplementing. And it's also important, the more stress we're under, most of the people have got busy lives today, there's more stress today perhaps than ever before, and so that takes more resources, and so we have to make sure we're providing those for the body. And so supplementing is important. I would suggest some of the things to help would be just a simple basic multivitamin mineral supplement.
Okay.
And one thing that's important
How
is
do we know what's a simple basic?
look for a good quality one. Now, there's ones that I've got good brands like Tressos Activated B Plus or a Metagenics brand, practitioner type products. They cost a little bit more, but they generally have what's called activated B vitamins in them as well. Because some people can't utilize normal B vitamins very easily, they have to have them in the activated form. So,
So you could be wasting your money if you just
not
get...
wasting your money, but not
Okay.
getting as good a value as you perhaps would like. Now, the other thing is simple things like a good quality vitamin C product. Like 1,000 milligrams a day or a couple of thousand milligrams, one morning, one night. That's very protective for all sorts of things, helps with stress, helps with cardiovascular health, with immunity generally, things like that. It's an anti-inflammatory, it's good for the adrenals, so it's a lot of good things there. Fish oil supplements is another beauty. Omega-3 supplements, because they tend to prevent abnormal clotting. They're great for cardiovascular health. They help with reducing the risk of cancers. So very, very important things like that. So we looked at there maybe a good multivitamin, fish oil, vitamin C, and perhaps even if you want to, if you're a little bit of a stressed individual, a little bit of anxiety there, want a bit of support sleeping, maybe a good magnesium supplement as well. Now that sounds a lot if you're not used to taking things, but it's not that much, and if you buy them when they're on specials, that's what I suggest you do. You go to either the health food shop or the supermarket and you buy
What's
them.
that girly shop? Do they have them?
What do they call again? Priceline. Yeah, there's like between the supermarkets and places like Priceline or Chemist Warehouse, you can usually get those products on specials and even up to half price, so that's the way to go. And it'll only cost you a couple of dollars a day that way. Well worth it.
A couple of dollars a day to keep the doctor away. We like that.
Very much.
What specific and straightforward advice do you have for reducing cholesterol?
Well, cholesterol, there's a lot of myths and misinformation attached to cholesterol. A lot of doctors have been speaking out about the overuse of statins. Statins is probably the most widely prescribed drug on the planet, and it's showing that it really doesn't do much at all. And so, apart from a lot of negative things in the body. So I would suggest for most people not to go on statins, but to look at maybe adjusting the diet. Look at the Mediterranean diet. That's a beauty for that sort of thing. And not to be particularly worried about high cholesterol. It is important if the high density lipoprotein part of the cholesterol is a little bit elevated, and we would rather the low density lipoprotein to be low. And that balance between the high density and the low density is the main thing. But the overall cholesterol, even if it's a little bit high, which happens in some families naturally, it's not necessarily a bad thing. And they've shown that people with high cholesterol, particularly if it hasn't been, medicated with statins, those people, when they get older, they're in a much better position and a safer position with neurological diseases, particularly things like Alzheimer's, dementia, and other neurological disorders. So cholesterol is very protective, and the body needs cholesterol.
New research on it, discovering.
Yeah, so
we were scanned there for a while.
If you're interested in taking that a little bit further, there's a doctor called, he's a cardiologist, British cardiologist, Dr. Aseem Malhotra. Now he's
That's a name.
Malhotra. Now he's been speaking out a lot against the overuse of statins, so check that out.
What about connected to diabetes and that sort of stuff with your cholesterol?
Yeah, well, if your cholesterol is high, elevated, particularly your LDL and even say your triglycerides, if that's elevated and you have insulin resistance or already have type 2 diabetes, that's a big risk factor. So you need to, number one, deal with that insulin resistance if possible.
How do you deal?
And you can do that by adopting more of the Mediterranean diet and looking at increasing your protein and good fat component in the diet. Not so much the carbohydrate. A lot of people are taking high carbohydrate diets, and that is a real danger, a real risk factor for diabetes.
And that was another scam. We got told that carbs were going to help, but...
Yeah, that was back in the 80s where they suggested we all go to more low-fat diets, and that automatically meant a high carbohydrate diet. And that has been one of the biggest factors why we have an epidemic of obesity and diabetes today.
How bizarre.
So what we really want to do...
Everyone went low-fat, everyone got fat.
Go back to the old school way of eating. Good protein, good fats. Now, what I mean by good fats is fish and animal foods that are grass-fed or free-range or organically produced. The fats from those animals.
Olive oil?
Olive oil is fabulous. Avocados, nuts and seeds, all those things, you know, and still thinking about cholesterol, like olive oil, garlic, all the herbs in the Mediterranean diet, a bit of red wine if you like wine at all.
Can you just Google Mediterranean diet?
You can Google Mediterranean diet and get all the details.
Okay, that's good. You know, in all of this, we know the basics is if we put pure food into our body, we're most likely to be going to be healthy. If we exercise and move our body as it was designed, we're most likely going to be healthy. So we're looking at this being practical and simple, but also remembering some of you might be on already drugs, and you need to suss out on drugs.com what their side effects are, because we just spoke to a guy last night and the side effects of his 2 drugs he was on was weight gain. And of course he's whinging about this big belly he's got now. So he's now looking at turning to something natural, to not take his prescription pills, to be able to move his body more freely and lose the weight in a natural way.
Yeah.
How do we honour our body, speaking of which, and ourselves through this menopause stage of life? Oh, it's torture. It's torture, girls.
Sure. Now, it's not always easy. Now, it will often depend on how you've lived up until that time of menopause. If you've lived well, you'll generally do better through the menopausal years, but it's not guaranteed. Now, one big thing is if you can manage stress well, because stress always exacerbates or makes anything worse. So if you're a stressed individual or under a lot of stress coming into menopause, that will make things worse. So manage stress.
How do we manage stress?
Well, you manage stress. We take the time out we need. We
self-care.
Yeah, self-care. Relaxation routines. Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, walk on the beach.
Breathing.
One thing that I highly recommend
being present in the moment
is to also get out in nature. We were designed to be out in nature. When you think about it, Adam and Eve were made to be in a garden, and they would have had barefooted connection with the earth all the time. They would have been out there in natural light, fresh air, sunshine, you know, all of those things, bathing in the river or the sea. And so they're the sort of things we should do, and that will keep us stronger and healthier. Now, the other thing about where there is a problem with the estrogen dropping off too quickly or varying a lot, that's where a lot of the symptoms around the menopause come from. And there's all sorts of symptoms which I'm sure you ladies are aware of, most of you. And there is a product today that people are using, and it comes from a plant called Siberian rhubarb.
And this wasn't around when I needed it, and I could really have done with that, because I've finally gotten past it and feel like a human again. Yeah, but this is good.
Yeah, it's a proprietary extract, and it's used in different formulations. Now, one of the formulations that I'm aware of.
So what's it called?
It's called Siberian rhubarb, but the extract has a specific name, and so we won't go into that. But you can get it from a company like Metagenics. Metagenics is a reasonably well-known company that produce lots of herbal and supplements.
So order it online.
You can order it online, and it's called Estrovera. Estrovera, Estrovera.
Aloe vera.
And you take one small mini tablet, they call it, a day, and it works out to be around about $30 a month. Now,
So for $1 a day, what's it doing for us?
what it does is they've found, this is what the research shows, that after 4 weeks, from 14 to 28% of all of the symptoms associated with menopause are reduced. After 12 weeks, that increases to up to 78% of those symptoms reducing. So it sounds pretty worthwhile. I haven't had a lot of experience with it myself.
And how does it work? What is it actually doing?
What it does is it binds to the estrogen receptor sites in the body, and it stimulates those receptor sites like there was still some more estrogen in the system being produced. So as the natural estrogen is dropping off, the estrovera comes in and binds to those sites, and it doesn't have any harmful effects like you may have heard with the hormone replacement therapy, HRT. There was some bad side effects associated with that. But this, from all reports, is very safe, and as I said, it comes from a Siberian rhubarb plant.
Yeah.
So there you go. Now there was another question there.
Oh, was there? How do we? You might have been going on about the supplements, routine, exercise, medication, vaccines. That can go into a whole nother world. Managing weight is probably one that a lot.
Sure.
Like I put on a lot of weight during menopause and could not shake it.
Yeah.
Do you reckon this magic rhubarb will help?
The estrovera.
Estrovera.
Yeah, well, it is supposed to help with that as well.
That's big.
Now, there are other things.
And headaches.
Yep. And sleeplessness and vaginal dryness and flushing and those sort of things. Irritability. It's supposed to help with all those. Now, as far as weight management goes, there are a few useful things. Again, trying to manage the insulin resistance. As you get a bit older, most people are prone to develop a little bit more insulin resistance and even move towards type 2 diabetes, which isn't a good thing. That's quite a dangerous thing for health generally. And that will tend to cause...
And a lot of that's about the carbs
it
and
is
the
more
sweeties,
about the carbs. Now,
desiring those things.
Now, it's not just sugar. Now, sometimes we think it's just sugar, but anytime you have carbohydrate foods, particularly refined carbohydrates, things
white
made
bread,
of,
cookies.
White flour, cookies, and what they call is the high glycemic index carbohydrates. That means when we eat them, they cause a rapid rise in blood sugar levels, which makes for a corresponding increase in insulin levels. And after a while, the body gets resistant to that, and it gets out of balance.
Don't want that to happen.
And that can make weight gain more likely and diabetes more likely, which is not good at all. So again, we go back to the eating more good proteins and good
natural
fats
foods
at each of our 3 main meals.
Yep.
Make sure it's not just a carby meal, not just cereal, not just toast, things like that, which is predominantly carbohydrate. That's not going to be very helpful. And include that regular exercise.
Move your body.
As part of your normal routine. And the other thing which you might want to look into is a product called creatine monohydrate. Now that tends to help the body burn up more fat and put on a little bit more muscle when you exercise. So creatine monohydrate, you can take a daily dose of that.
I do that occasionally when I go to the gym.
And it's very inexpensive, particularly if you buy it in a little
Helps
bit more
build
bulk.
up those muscles,
It
ones.
It does.
Thanks so much, Medicine Man,
can
for
I
this
say
wonderful
one more thing?
time together. Should we let him say more?
I just want to mention one more thing. Now, there's some people wonder what they should be eating. Should they be eating meat or vegetarian diet? Should they be doing this? How much exercise is good for them? How much do they need relaxation? What sort of supplementing? There's a whole dietary system called the genotype diet, which covers a lot of those bases. And so if you want to be a little bit more self-aware and understand a little bit more about how your body works...
Do you talk about it in Medicine Man or not?
I do talk about it, not in great detail, but I suggest people definitely look at the genotype diet.
Okay. And that's a chapter of this book.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
one of the chapters in
Okay.
there. Yeah.
And the other thing is, Step's got a podcast. What's that called?
Medicine Man. It's on Spotify.
Oh, okay.
If you want to check that out,
So Step's
you're more than welcome.
Spotify is the next place to go. Get the book. Thanks, girls, for your questions, and let us know what you thought of them all. Has this helped
Bye, ladies.
your new life?
Cheers.
You, best you. Bless ya.